Wednesday, October 13th, 2021. And we've got business news and...
I don't remember.
That's fine.
Surprise
news.
Oh, my stomach's growling. And our first one is a bit of an update. This has been an ongoing saga. A lot of people had suspicions that they were doing this for nefarious reasons. This story came out too early, but we have since found out, yes, nefarious reasons.
GitHub removes GTA fan projects RE3 and REVC following new Take-Two DMCA notice. So these are fan-made projects that redo the graphics and stuff for games that you already own.
Still requires the base game.
You still must have the base game in order to use these repositories. So if there's any copyright infringement occurring here, it is, in my opinion, secondary. Like these repos aren't going to do you any good unless you have the game.
Might actually sell a few copies.
Yeah, might actually sell a few copies. But the reason that Take-Two is doing this is because they just came out with remastered versions because they want to sell you the same thing once again. This, as much goodwill as that company has earned in gamer communities and like Grand Theft Auto 5 and like being groundbreaking, this undoes a large amount of that goodwill, in my opinion, and we as gamers should boycott them.
Did we have goodwill with Take-Two?
I mean...
I don't think we did. They've done nothing but exploit us.
Yeah. It's really unfortunate.
But when GTA 6 comes out, well, I'll get it because they're so good at making fun games.
This is wrong.
It is very wrong. Now, to be fair, though, I mean, you built on somebody else's property, right?
Yeah, but
you kind of got to be ready for them to do whatever they want with it. But they didn't discourage it until they decided to make money off of it. Now here's the big question, all right? Here's the one. You can't prove it, but if you could, would it change your mind if they never had the plans to do this till they saw the popularity of the mods?
Oh, that would be an extra layer of evil. Yeah. We have a lot of fan interest in this. How can we strangle that?
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, if you've got a lot of willpower, yeah, boycott them. But I'm not going to say to do it when I'm not doing it.
Well, okay, let's put it another way. Do you think if Take-Two offered the people that authored these things $1 million to just go away, just shut down the project, pull it and go away, or say that you support taking the projects down and we will, give you $1 million for your trouble, which is nothing for that company. They're going to pay the lawyers more than that. And that's what's really criminal here, in my opinion.
We've actually already earmarked that $1 million. It's going to the DRM company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Can't spare it.
That's why it offends one's senses. I mean, GTA is so popular, it's basically a part of culture at this point.
Yeah.
The price you pay.
They even make merchandising money from GTA.
That is crazy that they, it's like, are you still GTA 5 online, like the shark cards and stuff like that, makes more money in a year than just about every other like games that we would review and be like, oh, this is a AAA title from last year. It's like, no, GTA 5 made more money on this old ass game.
Yeah. It's an insane business model, but you do have to admit they take like a decade of R&D to pump into that. And then it feeds them for 5-6 years. It's a weird business model. They do it really well, but I don't think that they would make a ton less money by not doing this kind of garbage.
Yeah, and no matter how much they want to make it about, oh, they didn't do the reverse engineering exactly right, or, well, there's maybe technically some copyright infringement because of how they figured out how the game engine works so they could overhaul it for what it is, and because it still requires the game to function, I don't see a problem here. It's like... Do you remember the old He-Man toys? Like you could get like the generic Castle Grayskull that like the feet would pop into because it had the little pegs, and it's like you could buy a generic playset that was not anything in the franchise, but it was still a lot of fun to play with. But and your He-Man, it was sized appropriately and like you could stand them up and they would be in the thing, but it wasn't officially Mattel licensed whatever. This is kind of like that.
I don't think that's like by design. I just think they were all using the same factory.
Oh, okay.
So
who would ever consider that a copyright problem? It's like I want to take the works of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and have something else, and it's like, well, you have to buy a copy of this book and combine it with this other book, and then you have the work.
Let me explain to you why that was not goodwill on the behalf of Mattel. Was it Mattel or Hasbro? It's Mattel,
Probably both,
right?
yeah.
And you can prove it. You can prove it tomorrow if you could do this quickly enough. Start selling He-Man toys. See what happens.
What about He-Man compatible toys?
Put that on the box. See what happens. And we have some capitulation. I don't think they wanted to. I think they were forced to because it was such a weak sauce block that they put on this thing. They did this so poorly. It was so easy to beat. They had to just be like, all right, we'll let you do it because they couldn't stop it. This is like our southern border.
Yeah.
Might as well let them in, right? Because you can't stop it.
Microsoft shares Windows 11 TPM check bypass for unsupported PCs. It's like, if you're taking your hands, your fate into your own hands if you do this. But here you go.
It's just some registry edits, but because they're afraid that people are going to screw that up so much, there is now an official thing that you can set up and do this. You still have to have TPM 1.2 with Microsoft's version, but not with the regular hack. So they kind of half-assed it.
Well, this will let you run it on older surfaces, so that's nice.
And Windows 11 comes with a lot of extra stuff.
As we foretold.
There's a lot of extra stuff going on. That does not happen for free. That costs processing power.
Windows 11 might tank Ryzen CPU performance, AMD warns. AMD has said that Windows 11 might triple Ryzen cache latency and doesn't recognize the best cores yet. So as much work as went into Windows 11 for the as yet unreleased Alder Lake Intel CPUs, they took a giant crap all over AMD CPUs. And it can be fixed. It's not that it's running extra stuff. It's that they just screwed it up so bad. Yeah. Thanks, Microsoft.
So, who was that did that? PC World, they claimed they did their own testing and they couldn't reproduce the 15% loss. Theirs was more like 5. But obviously that's going to be different with every build. So.
And every different game that you play. Yeah. Some of the MOBAs and stuff suffer more than AAA titles.
And Microsoft has certainly been trying to give some lip service to open source. They did the Linux subsystem and all that stuff. They've been talking a lot more about Linux and we're going to all these open source projects, we're going to help them, we're going to fund them, we're going to bring them into the fold. Maybe not.
Microsoft's .NET Foundation is under fire as resigning board member questions its role. Don't tell us you're about the community and then go do the business of Microsoft. So it's like, hey, we can make .NET available on multiple platforms. There's some dissension here. And this is not a recent board member. This is a longtime board member who initially joined the board to try to help out with some open source goals for .NET projects and making .NET truly cross-platform. I think they've got some valid criticisms.
He brings up one obvious point, which was WinGet. WinGet started out as, was it apt-get?
Yep.
Which Microsoft did not own. Microsoft basically destroyed it and made WinGet, which is exactly like it.
Now, we did a video on WinGet, and it used to be awesome because you could go and get it, and then you could just WinGet install whatever. Windows 11 comes with a version of WinGet, but guess what? It requires you to be logged into the App Store. But downloading stuff, most things from the App Store doesn't require you to be logged in. If you're downloading something that is licensed, like commercially, like that you paid for, you have to be logged in. But if you just want to do WinGet install CPU-Z, which is free, and it worked fine on the Windows 10 version of WinGet without an App Store app or App Store account. Now on Windows 11 is like, I can't find your Microsoft Store account. I can't get this, which is dumb and anti-user.
Here's the question about that. I think maybe we have to give the Microsoft devs a little leeway here because I have a feeling that was a feature that got bolted on in the boardroom at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably built something good and they were like, wait a minute.
How can we juice our App Store numbers?
Yeah, we need accounts for this. What are you just giving this away? Get some registrations here.
Once again, the operating system is not about making the user have a better experience.
You are not the customer. Unless maybe you buy from Valve. Valve does seem to still be kind of the good guys. Remember that time that was it like they weren't giving refunds or they screwed something up and Gabe was on vacation in Aruba or something and he flew back and it was like, what are you doing? No, you will not destroy the user's experience. When he dies, we are in trouble. But for now, we have this kind of beauty.
Valve opens up a Steam Deck to explain why it thinks you shouldn't. Valve doesn't recommend opening up the device, but if you still plan to, this video might be a useful guide. Some really awesome things this is not the headline that I would have gone with for this at all. This video shows how to do repairs for people that are experienced in repairs, because they figure that the things that people are going to break are those the 5-way hat switch Joy-Con things. And so this video is like, here's how you replace it, and here's where we're going to sell first party replacement parts. Like, you don't have to get it from us. There's going to be parts, battery replacement, and there was something else.
I think they probably saw what Nintendo was going through with their Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, let's get in front of that.
Yeah. I mean, but again, is it Gabe that's doing that or the culture of the company?
Also, the M.2.
Oh, yeah, replaceable.
A lot of people are going to try to do that. Yeah. Because didn't you order the small one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're definitely...
With the intention, I already have a 1 terabyte Kioxia, those are awesome. Those are low power. Those are low power M.2s enough to use on a Raspberry Pi without a supplemental, something crazy on the power supply. Because some of those USB to M.2 adapters on the Raspberry Pi use too much power. If you use like a Samsung M.2, works great with the Kioxia ones.
So they'll walk you through at least how to do that if that was your plan. Now, they do say don't do it. They might not honor your warranty if you do it, but they are going to show you how to do it because they know that some of you are going to do it.
They won't honor your warranty if you screw it up and you do it. If you get it together and the warranty causes some other problem, then you're probably okay.
I don't know about that.
We can Moss Magnuson their ass if they get squirrely about that.
Are you offering legal support to all these people? I don't think you should offer that.
What about angry tweets? I can do that.
That's considerably less, but I guess your heart's in the right place. And is Apple's heart in the right place? Once again, they are locking down the garden a bit more, but this one does seem maybe user-friendly.
Apple says you must offer a way to delete your account starting in early 2022 to app developers. So if you have an app store thing and you let people sign up and somebody wants to delete their info, Apple says, well, you got to give them a way to do that.
You don't have to do it in the app. You are still allowed to link them away to a website, but there must be a button. Has to exist. PS3, man, now that it's 2 generations ago, it does seem weird. But I guess when they sold it, they promised this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they told us, I don't know if they actually said how long it was going to be, but you expect it to last. If you buy something, you expect to still be able to use it, right?
Sony is planning to make PS3 and Vita stores nearly unusable. They're taking away the payment card thing. So right now you can use PayPal or credit cards. Well, late October, no more.
So you can use a gift card that you buy at a physical store, or you can load money onto your Sony account, but I think you have to do that in blocks, right?
Yeah.
And it's never the amount you need to spend. So then you got $3-4 left over, and you're like, oh, you can't get it back, I don't think. Mm-hmm. So you're like, well, let me just top that off and get this other thing, and it's just a terrible cycle. It's anti-consumer, for sure. Plenty of people have proven that business model is anti-consumer.
So frustrating.
Although if you're still rocking the PS3, maybe just give up fast food for a month, get that PS4. Or I guess it's PS5 now, right?
If you can find them.
I bought a PS4. I played it one time. No, twice. I played it twice. I take that back. Played Spider-Man twice. That was a stupid purchase.
I've been playing Simu on the GPD Win 3. That's kind of fun.
I don't think you'd need a PS5 for that.
Nope.
Remember the Apes, the evolved Apes, the NFT, where everybody was like, what? That's crazy. And it was like, yeah, you don't understand NFTs. Well, maybe we were right all along.
Investors spent millions on the quote-unquote evolved apes NFTs. And then they got scammed. The developer behind the NFT project, Evil Ape, suddenly disappeared along with the Twitter account and $2.7 million.
I hate this art style. So I didn't understand this originally. Did you understand this was supposed to be a game?
No.
Yeah, so apparently all of this was like art for a fighting game that was going to star all of these apes. and they expected it to be a huge hit. I think they tried to do the what's the space game that will forever be in development?
Star Citizen.
Yeah, Star Citizen. I think they were trying to pull like a Star Citizen kind of deal here, but they didn't expect the huge success of the NFTs. So once they got that, they were like, "Well, we're kind of done here, aren't we?"
See you guys.
They just noped out, took all the money.
Nice.
The people who were left behind elected a leader. He was the guy that spent $10,000 on 2 of these things, and they have, I guess, like they've come together in this stress and they've bonded. They're going to try to make the game. I don't think they'll make it.
Well, at least they own the rights to the NFTs. ... Question mark.
Yeah. So valuable. DeFi is a big keyword. Decentralized. That's what that means, because a lot of the cryptocurrency stuff has a centralized thing, and then when things happen, they can actually void transactions. Or Joe Biden can get on their case and make them do certain things.
Hey, these Bitcoin addresses are going to Iran. You can't send money there.
Yeah. So you decentralize to beat that, but it introduces its own risks.
Compound founder says that the $80 million bug presents a moral dilemma for DeFi users. So this was a bug with like contract execution or something for this particular coin that has a lot of users. And initially it was like, oh, it's only 60 million. And then somehow they figured out to make it like 80 million. But they didn't actually put the users' coins at risk. It was like the foundation's coins.
It's future payment for proof of something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and so now it's like, well, because it is kind of, we could actually change it, but there's a process for changing it which takes like 90 days. So fixing the bug would take like 90 days, and by then all the horses have escaped.
Isn't that also kind of a little bit flying in the face of DeFi?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's still decentralized because everybody has to agree to it, but it's also slow.
So they're asking for people to give it back. I don't see that happening.
They might. I mean, they could change the protocol and like do something Herculean.
If you give it back, they're willing to let you keep 10%, which is probably a decent little chunk of money.
Yeah.
You don't have to get sued. You didn't do anything for it. It's free money. Pennies from heaven. Now, this is nothing new. We've seen this several times before to various levels of success. I don't think anybody's done it in a way where people are like, oh my God, I can't live without this. I think it's always been a gimmick. Can Bezos do it right?
Amazon is reportedly working on a smart fridge that tracks what's inside, and so it can automatically restock. He's got to close the loop here. He's not thinking enough outside the box. Not only does the fridge have to know what's inside, it has to know what meals you can make with the thing that's inside.
Yeah. Obviously, that'll be easy to do if you buy the stuff from Amazon, because then they'll have that visual training set. But if you come up with other stuff, this is probably going to be one of those things where it's like, yeah, this works perfectly as long as you get everything from Whole Foods and Amazon. And some people will do that.
You couldn't just hold up a sack of bananas and it's like, I don't recognize that. You got to put the holographic sticker on it. It's like, oh, those are bananas.
What are those, Kroger bananas? I'm turning their fridge off.
For this banana pudding recipe, we will require 1.25 Kroger bananas because they are inferior as compared with the Amazon bananas.
Please check this box to acknowledge that the flavor profile will suffer because of your choices. You know who's having a good time right now? Recently moved away from California down to Austin, probably just getting wild in the Austin nightlife. It's Elon Musk.
3 Tesla vehicle deliveries. Quarter 3, Tesla vehicles deliveries hit another record in quarter 3, beating analysts' estimates. So, yeah, Tesla's getting those things put together immediately.
Even in China.
Although I've noticed on Twitter, the people that are taking delivery of their Teslas have some quality control complaints.
Well, we always knew that. I mean, they're slapping them together, but they're doing it quick. So, and a lot of people talk crap about, it's like, oh, this is transitory and whatever. You got to give it up. I mean, he's been doing it consistently for a long time now.
Yeah.
Some people have complained, it's like, don't say that he did it. It's his peons that did it. I mean, we need to understand that. What are their names? I don't know their names.
Well, there's Bob in accounting. Good job, Bob. I see you.
You contributed directly to this, Bob. And I didn't realize this was a story. I ruined it.
CNBC, Tesla moves headquarters from California to Texas. This is CNBC's take on it, which is which is kind of fun. It's always fun when the established, like CNBC is like, I don't know, Tesla, you should probably short them. Like all their articles, like this is probably bad for Tesla, but this one's okay.
Because the anti-California narrative is too close to Trump. You can't get anywhere near it.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So this is all about the taxes, and then what he claimed was the fascist way that they locked down during the thing. Remember all that? He hated that. So he's moved the headquarters. He has already moved to Austin, and still going to have everything in California. It's just that he's not going to be there. I mean, he'll be there from time to time, I'm sure. But if you're working at Tesla because you want the chance for him to walk by and you could touch the hem of his garment like Jesus, you can't work in California anymore. You got to go to Texas. And we have known for a while that this Let's Encrypt certificate was going to expire. Warnings were given, but apparently not heeded.
Fortinet, Shopify, and more report issues after the root CA certificate from Let's Encrypt expires. So you could have a perfectly valid Let's Encrypt certificate, but the root certificate was going to expire before yours, and that was the problem. So you would have to rekey your certificate automatically. Everybody that's using Let's Encrypt has automated certificate renewal, but a lot of certificates wouldn't auto-renew because the program doesn't check to see if the root CA is going to expire, which would make you have to renew your certificate a little prematurely. So it created a lot of problems.
Probably won't be too much. They'll get it resolved, but that is annoying.
Yeah,
it shows how much the internet depends on that.
Yeah, really does.
Well, one thing that you do when you are a big tech company and you're just sort of having your way with the populace and the regulations and all that is that when things start to heat up and the regulators come sniffing around your door, you form a coalition of your brethren. Even though you're at each other's throats 99% of the time, you can come together for that 1% to try and pretend to do things rather than have the regulator force you to do them.
Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and other tech companies, tech giants, establish a trusted cloud principles. This is how they're going to operate, how they're going to handle data. This is basically just a dog and pony show so that they can go to regulators and say, look, see, we're handling things correctly. We're going to do some good stuff. I think Amazon is really the one that's got the shortest end of the stick here because everybody's always misconfiguring their S3 buckets and their EC2 instances for no security. And Amazon actually does go out of its way to try to protect you from yourself with regard to security. It's just that some people turn it off. And so a lot of these cloud companies need really good stuff in place to say when it's like, oh, this unsecured Elasticsearch or this unsecured S3 bucket has all this stuff. What did you do? And it's like, hey, we're in a consortium. Our peers in the industry review what we're doing for security practices, and they signed off on it too. It's not us.
And think about like these Jedi contracts and these SpaceX contracts and stuff like that. You know, the first thing they're going to say whenever that goes into competition or into court is like, well, we're part of the trusted cloud platform. I don't know about these guys. I don't know what they're up to.
See, also FedRAMP, that's basically already there with FedRAMP cloud hosting. So, I mean, you know, it's like, you're not in the club? Sorry.
You might want to join. It's going to cost you this much. And ads being injected everywhere. That's the world we live in. Of course, Windows 11 is the latest one to fall in those crosshairs. But Samsung seems to be getting some negative numbers from this. I assume this is like they figured out nobody clicked on these, right?
Yeah.
That's the only reason they would do this.
Samsung has removed ads from the Samsung Pay, Health, and Weather apps starting today. The reason is they were completely valueless to anybody that was buying the ads. We could have told you that. We could have told you that before you even put them in.
Well, they did have value to Samsung, though, just not the people they sold them to. Are you hip to Squid Game?
I'm not.
Is it one of those choose your own type of deals, or is it just a TV show?
No idea.
I have a tough time getting into the Korean shows.
It's some kind of a thing. I think it's just a TV show where, like, if you're in, like, an insane amount of debt because, you know, that's the thing that's been created, you can go on this game show, like a lottery, and if you survive, you get your debt paid off.
I get the impression it's kind of a Saw type of thing.
Yeah, but, you know, it's to the death.
So Hunger Games maybe a little bit in there. But that's not what's important. What's important is, at least in Korea, this thing is a juggernaut. I mean, people are going crazy for it. Here's how many engagement challenges as well. How many North Koreans have seen it?
7.
I'd say at least 100. You think Kim Jong's seen it?
I don't know. You think they're using this for propaganda in North Korea? It's like, look how bad it is in South Korea. This is real. This is from their
that'd be
news.
hilarious, yeah. But then you'd have a couple people like, I think I could do it. It's better than here, right? But the core of the thing is you just have to understand how many South Koreans watch this thing.
South Korea broadband firm is going to sue Netflix for the traffic surge from Squid Game. I really hope that this fails catastrophically, because the broadband firm could have avoided all of this, and it could have been all local traffic if they just implemented Netflix caches, which Netflix would have been more than happy to do for free.
Which all ISPs here do, right?
Yes.
Why would they not do it? Is it the South Koreans, like they're so, like proud of their infrastructure? They're like, our broadband is so good, you can't stop it.
It's like the Cloudflare thing that we had in the government episode this week, where it's like they're just hoping they get a judge that is so clueless for how technology works and literally doesn't understand technology that it's like, oh yeah, this sounds plausible. We get a few of them in our comments every day where it's like, well, if Netflix is using a lot of bandwidth, they should pay. It's like, you fundamentally do not understand the internet. Hush.
That's just astroturfing. Those people don't exist. Now here's a question though. So we often talk about our judges, like we were just talking about that judge in the previous day, the government story, about it's like, wow, here's one that kind of understood what was going on. How would you rank our judges in tech savvy versus South Korea's judges?
I would think that all of our judges on average are much worse.
I would think so too, but I don't know why I think that. Maybe just because South Korea is a more technologically advanced country overall, I feel.
They seem to be more excited about their technology, yeah.
But then you got Samsung's influence.
That could be part of that.
Well, I always love it when you get, we see so many ransomwares where they do hospitals and people die, or they're shutting down heat, and they're just doing these horrible, horrible things. And they're just doing awfulness. It's kind of refreshing to find a hacker who's just doing ridiculous stuff, not really hurting anybody.
Navy Facebook account has been hacked to stream Age of Empires. It's a heartwarming story about how they've just lost control of it. And there have been a few streams, more than just Age of Empires. 4. There was like a hey, hello, how's it going type of stream.
4 streams so far. And apparently they're terrible at it. They say they never get out of the Stone Age when playing Age of Empires. So I don't know why they chose that. They're not good at it. Or maybe it's just an AI playing it?
Maybe. I was kind of hoping that this was, when I first saw this, I was kind of hoping that somebody had figured out, with the Twitch leak, that somebody had figured out how to compute the stream keys.
But this was Facebook.
Yeah, this ended up being Facebook.
Yeah, so it seems that the only traffic that page got anyway was the parents of the people serving on that ship. They were very confused.
Yeah.
And I guess today is social for the second part. Yeah. And of course, the biggest story of the week, probably, right?
Yeah.
Was social, because poor Facebook, they made a big mistake.
Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Oculus are down. Here's what we know. So the root cause of the outage was they accidentally flubbed up the border gateway protocol advertising for their network. They took part of their network offline, which caused the rest of the network to try to respond to get it back online, but they ended up deleting themselves from the internet entirely. They did such a good job turning everything off that when they were getting ready to turn everything back on, they thought that they might blow breakers in the data center from having 9 megawatts of stuff come back online at the same time. They were like, we don't think our electrical grid can handle that. Impressive. That is an impressive level of failure.
Well, that's also an impressive level of forethought.
Yeah.
They usually don't think about that until it happens.
We brought everything back online and the transformer exploded. Now we're going to be down for 12 hours.
And the timing of that, some people pointed out, might be a little bit suspicious, because certainly there were 2 headlines that day. This one came first, and then this woman was scheduled. Like, we didn't know exactly what she was going to say, but we knew something was coming.
Yeah.
And then there was going to be the next day. So the day before, everything goes down.
Yeah.
It's very expensive if that's why they did that. It seems like a crazy thing to do, but I don't know.
Could be. Reuters says that Facebook is, quote unquote, operating in the shadows, according to a whistleblower, and lawmakers are demanding probes. So the testimony here doesn't strike me as Facebook specific. Like, you could copy paste her testimony for pretty much any American company. Amazon, I'm sure, is doing the same kind of thing, or at least there are people inside Amazon asking the same kinds of questions, because Amazon has its fingers in a lot of the same pies. A lot of the other social companies, I don't think Twitter's doing it because Twitter's just not organized enough to do it. Certainly TikTok and ByteDance as a company, and a lot of the other, like newcomers in the social media field, are all doing a lot of the same kind of questioning and analysis. And so this whistleblower is saying, they're basically saying internally, how do they get inside our heads? How do they exploit it? How do they do this? How do they do that? And the response here is kind of surprising, because it's like, is Facebook better or worse than cigarettes?
They're both optional.
They're both optional. I think cigarettes are probably worse, but I think the response to Facebook is probably also worse. It's interesting.
Throw Coca-Cola in there.
Yeah, sugar, processed
There's
sugar.
all kinds of stuff that's terrible for you. And
sort of a problem.
And people are screaming at you that it's terrible for you, and you just keep going back to it. I mean, the personal responsibility.
Sausage toast, diet orange soda.
Look at that can.
Yeah,
It's so damaged.
I'm still enjoying it, though.
That looks like it could cut your mouth horribly.
I have had to be a little careful with it.
Is that just shipment damage?
Yeah, it's just shipment damage.
Wow.
All of our packages that we get anymore are mangled. There's if you really want a good laugh, there's a case box downstairs that's been squished like an accordion. Like, I don't know what could have done that short of, one tractor trailer backing into another, and that was the cushion to prevent them from, colliding.
Yeah, that's probably exactly what happened. Or not, probably like he was backing up to the ramp, the loading ramp, and that just fell off and got caught.
Yeah, it's just like an accordion.
It's like the tires you put down at a dock.
I ain't even mad. It's just like, how did this even happen?
Well, Facebook being down for the better part of a day does have an impact on the bottom line.
Zuckerberg loses $6 billion in hours as Facebook plunges. This is Bloomberg Wealth. Now, that's a clickbait headline. He didn't actually lose $6 billion because he didn't realize the loss, but his value in the form of stock was down about $6 billion. It's since recovered a fair bit, which is surprising. Yeah. Time Magazine, their cover this month was delete Facebook. So, I'm surprised that didn't negatively impact the stock as well.
Yeah, but we had that already. Didn't catch on.
No one cares.
That's like saying delete heroin. People are all about it until they get that. It's like, I need it.
Delete cigarettes.
I got to get well. And the other thing Facebook being down pointed out was something that we already knew, but maybe some people just didn't like to think about.
Yeah.
But this is the reality of the products that you buy from that company.
Oculus Quest becomes a paperweight as Facebook is down. So can't log in, can't do stuff. Yeah. You know what else was a paperweight while they were down? Employees access badges.
So you could get to this menu, which normally would have all kinds of other stuff on it, but just doesn't load. So you could use it, but you couldn't really do anything with it. You could just live in this lobby.
Oops. Score another win for Gabe. Probably sent a memo. It's like, do we have anything in place to prevent ourselves from accidentally deleting BGP routes? I think Cisco gear doesn't have anything good in it for that. In that type of a situation, I think you have to schedule a reboot. Like, you can cron a reboot for 15 minutes from now and do your stuff, and then it'll recover in 15 minutes if you screw up that badly. But I think Juniper has that built in where it'll automatically roll back the configuration change if something that catastrophic happens.
Well, if that product doesn't exist yet, it will after this.
Yeah, the people at Cisco inside that were arguing for this feature were like, see, this is why we need this.
And they were right. Instagram is still, I feel like Instagram right now is kind of in a weird place where they can't figure out what they want to be. Except TikTok. They want to be TikTok because TikTok is really kicking their ass. So they're just constantly moving things around.
Instagram ditches the IGTV brand and combines everything but Reels into an Instagram video format. So basically all those like Vine and all those experiments that they were copying to try to stay relevant, they've basically given up and made it Instagram video.
Nothing else is different. Still probably should just get TikTok.
Yeah.
Although there is the whole Chinese government thing.
Or Signal, if you just need messaging.
Or just don't do it. Well, TikTok's not really messaging, is it?
No. Oh, I was getting into our next story.
Oh, yeah. Telegram. Wow. That's a big number. I guess this is like people who I don't know. How many people does the average Facebook user connect with on Facebook where they have no other way to connect those people?
A lot.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, isn't
Yeah.
it? So maybe this was just desperation to try and get in touch.
Telegram founder says over 70 million new users joined Facebook during the outage. Twitter also reported, like they had doubled their traffic during the Facebook outage.
How am I going to get my fix? Oh, God. Man, we are an addicted society for sure. And another great one from YouTube. Boy, they are just so tone deaf when it comes to anything like this.
Have you checked out our Patreon?
I mean, we don't talk about this. I absolutely leave anything to do with this out of the news.
Yeah.
Even though a lot of tech news sites will incorporate this kind of thing, it's just not worth arguing about.
Yeah. Google and YouTube will cut off ad money for climate change deniers. Advertisers, publishers, and YouTube creators can no longer monetize content that denies the existence of climate change, according to The Verge.
Now, here's a question for you. It says denying the existence of climate change. What if I don't deny the existence of climate change? I just argue about what we should do about it.
Yeah, that's the argument.
I think that'll also fall afoul of this.
Yes, it definitely does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
You know what would probably help? A dramatic reduction in the industrialization of things, which is probably also related to a massive depopulation.
it's going to require a war,
A war that results in massive depopulation.
which, the South China Sea.
Yeah.
It's maybe percolating there, but you don't want that. I don't care what you think about the climate. I don't care what you think is going to happen in 25 years. You do not want that to happen.
We don't want that. No.
That will not be good for you.
That, one of those things results in a very slow death for civilization, and the other one is probably a very quick death.
I don't know. Would you rather starve to death or just go out in a nuclear blink?
It's bright outside. I'm not here anymore.
It's got its appeal, doesn't it? It's got its appeal, doesn't it?
What do we got for Friday?
Nonsense, and then what we haven't done yet, which was security, I guess, right? Do we do security?
Nonsense for sure, yeah. And security, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
So be sure to check out our Linode link. We're getting started with Devember. The Devember thread on the forum. You get $100 off Linode starting up, and we'll see you Friday.
Mystery Allen Wrench under the desk mat.
Woo! Oh yeah, our Death of Flash shirt. It's
Get
a
it.
meme.
You need it.
Because Flash died,
Consume. Get your Christmas orders in now at store.level1text.com because who knows what the shipping situation is going to be like.
When you go to your next conference and it's like, I used to be a Flash developer, but now Flash is not a thing anymore. We got your shirt.
And those people will be like, don't talk to me.
So, like usual.